Hey everyone, welcome to the show. This is JR, founder and CEO of Social Market, here with the Social Ledger Report. So we haven't made a video in 2 weeks. As you may have noticed, I'm in a new apartment. I've been moving. I've been so incredibly busy. My partner here isn't available right now. I'm doing it just solo right now. If you want to support the channel, you can leave a like or subscribe to the channel. It costs you nothing and it supports us so we can keep pushing more of these type of videos and more of this type of content for you. With that being said, today we're going to cover almost 2 weeks worth of stories. I'm going to try to keep it concise for you all, just so that way, we can understand what's happening and not get too confused or dilly-daddle too much into this. So in the last 2 weeks that we haven't made a video, there's actually been a number of pretty big influential stories that have been happening. So first, we're going to talk about Tron, which Tron has surged quite a bit since it minted. I think the number is 81.2 billion in USDT, the stablecoin, and that actually jumped the value of Tron significantly. 2 weeks ago, we had the release of Telegram. If you guys don't know what Telegram is, it's think of it like Messenger or WhatsApp, but a lot of techies and a lot of people in the Web3 space use it. Well, it released its own self-custody wallet, which I think it's amazing. We're going to talk more about it here in a moment. And it's connected to their own blockchain that was open sourced, and I guess people are contributing to it because Telegram stopped working on it as much in 2021. But it's Tron, or the Open Network, short for it. And then the third story, we'll talk about the SEC Project Crypto. So the chair, Paul Atkins, came out in a video talking about what their next agenda is for this upcoming presidency or legislation under Trump. We've talked about it before in past episodes where things are going to change drastically than what we've seen under the previous administration. So he kind of gives us an umbrella statement saying there's going to be a push for innovation and a pull on aggressive persecution, which is literally the total opposite of what we've seen with the previous administration. But more into that in a moment. The next story will be on American Bitcoin. That company is, I don't want to say co-founded by Eric Trump, but he's pretty involved with it. So I almost want to put him at that level of founder status. Correct me if I'm wrong. You can leave a comment on the video if you think I'm wrong here. But yeah, we're going to be talking about American Bitcoin. It looks like they are moving for NASDAQ next. So their ticker is going to be ABTC, which when Leon and I went to Consensus this year, we saw Eric Trump and he was talking about American Bitcoin and he was just glazing the fact that ABTC sounds really nice, which I agree. But more on that in a bit. And our last story here will be just talking about Trump's latest executive order with his crypto narrative, pushing it so people can actually invest in Bitcoin and Ethereum and possibly other tokens and put that on their 401ks. I have some thoughts on that and I'll tell you all that here in a bit. All right, so without further ado, guys, let's talk about how the markets have been in the last 2 weeks. So just to be brief here, currently altcoin season index is more leaning on favor of Bitcoin. Fear and greed index is at 70% greed. So more people are being greedy this time around. We're still seeing inflation around 3%. So things have been pretty much the same there for the last 2 weeks. As far as Bitcoin, in the last 2 weeks, almost, it's been right about almost 120. Now, I'll say this real quick. So this is what you're seeing is what's in development. So we might not see some data showing like the recent transactions, but I digress. Bitcoin has stayed almost at 120,000, so that's not too bad. Now let's go for Ethereum, just being the number 2. Ethereum has surpassed 4,000, so that's a pretty big deal because we haven't seen that, I guess, since 2022. So given by this chart, we're almost at 2021, 2022 hype. So that's kind of exciting. So anyways, our next segue here will be Tron because of their recent parabolic performance. So this is at a 5-year level, but in the last month, this is where we've seen just a big surge. Now, this all recently happened like 2 weeks ago, I believe. So the recording of this video is on the 11th. And the last few weeks, we've seen the price surge. Typically, it was like at almost 30 cents, but now it's at 35, right around the corner. Their market cap is now at 32.63 billion. And in their latest 24-hour trading volume as of August 11th, it's almost $1 billion. So what I can say is a lot has been happening here in the space because about 1 billion in Tether was minted by Tron. So this is from CoinDesk. And the article says, just in, Tether has minted 1 billion USDT on the Tron blockchain. So this is as of July 28th. So yeah, it's been about 2 weeks now. This is the official statement because it's coming from CoinDesk. And they do have that somewhere in their website, so you can always look it up there. We'll leave some relevant articles here on the description for you on YouTube, and Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere else that you can find this content in. So this is a post on Twitter or X on this amount that it was minted on Tether. Now, this is from AI Invest, and this is the headline that says Tron surpasses 81.2 billion USDT supply as stablecoin dominance grows. So this is kind of like the trend we've seen for the last 2 years, or I guess last year, because everyone recognizes that the main technology advantage on crypto, let alone, the memes, the hype, you can put all that aside. The actual opportunity here is on the technology that is stablecoins. There's certain services like Western Union or sending money overseas like remittance. They charge you like 30% on the amount that you're sending as a transaction fee. So if you're sending your mom or your family $100 USD overseas, they're keeping $30 and your mom will get $70. So those are insanely high fees, and stablecoins effectively solve that issue. If you have, any crypto-based app like Coinbase or Binance, you name it, you can send your family across borders $100 USDC or USD coin, and they'll get almost $99. Fees are going to be significantly lower. So that's why stablecoins are here to stay. And in this case, it helped Tron's value increase. So here are some talking points, Amy's summary. So I think it's cool how some articles are using AI to kind of give you the summary on this whole article. So again, you can find this link here in the description below on YouTube if you're watching it, or anywhere else in any other place you're reading this. So Tron led 2025 H1 blockchain performance with 916 million revenue and 81.2 billion USDT supply. This solidifies stablecoin infrastructure dominance. Now, Network, I'm not sure if that's some sort of platform on news or anything, but Network saw 41% USDT supply growth, 12.6 quarter-over-quarter transaction increases, and 71.2% USDD supply surge to 43.8 million. USDD would be for DAI. It's another stablecoin. All of this says that, stablecoins are becoming active in the crypto space. People are realizing that, hey, stablecoins actually have a lot of value into it. Don't get me wrong. While there are some tokens like Tron for itself and Bitcoin, Ethereum, those are not stable coins. Those are just crypto coins. There's still value in them, but stable coins effectively help you move money online free. Well, in most cases free, like if you're a paid subscribe member on Coinbase. So it's not necessarily free, but at least you don't have to pay insanely high fees. So that's a huge advantage. So that's pretty much it for Tron token, just kind of going parabolic and surging. But now let's talk about the Tron. That's the open network for Telegram. And it released its own wallet in the Telegram app. One thing I want to talk about is Tron was not necessarily a active blockchain. It was being developed by Telegram. I'm not sure if they had like some sort of pivot or change of heart or plans on the business, but it kind of just abandoned the open network development and made it open source fully. So that's pretty much where people have been building it. This was all in 2020, I should say, where people just stopped working on it. So in any case, yeah, this is from Twitter. This is from Watcher Guru. Telegram launches the built-in Tron wallet to its 87 million US users. So that's a shit ton of users. So, people are going to start using crypto, which, to be fair, people who mostly use Telegram, they're pretty tech savvy. A lot of crypto-based group chats are on Telegram, and Twitter references Telegram a lot. I should say crypto Twitter or crypto X, if that's what we want to call it. But for the most part, crypto Twitter uses Telegram as a reference for having these group chats discussing crypto stuff. So I think it's a smart move. I think this is something that quite honestly should have happened a while ago, but it's pretty cool. So this is from Mirza, I think that's how you pronounce his name. So here's kind of like a quick demo on how to enable the Telegram wallet. And, we're not endorsing Telegram. I do like the app, so I'm just speaking from experience, but not from financial advice, just to be completely clear. So you can buy USDT and then you can fund it into your wallet. And it's almost like using iMessage, where you have Apple Wallet there. You can not only message people, but you can also send money. So comments here, they're all kind of just talking about, for one, Brian says, I cannot find a wallet in my Telegram, and search wallet on Telegram. People kind of talk about the experience installing the wallet on Telegram, which is kind of hidden. I'm not sure if it was intentional for them to leave it hidden almost, where you need to go into settings, scroll among the settings, and then select wallet. And, you can follow this video, for example. We'll leave this link here in the description as well. But if you are a US user and you have Telegram, you should check it out. I think it'll be worth it. If you're watching this channel anyways, is because you are to some extent comfortable or at least familiar with crypto. So if you want to pursue a Telegram wallet, you can. The way I see it is as a crypto wallet with messaging capabilities, almost like Apple Message, like I said. So I think there's some value to it because, for instance, when you message your friends or something on iMessage and you want to send money, it's still going to take like 1 to 3 business days to withdraw your entire money. So if you're doing it on a Friday night, good luck getting it, that weekend. You're going to get it on Monday. Unless you pay like a huge percentage on withdrawing that money almost immediately. But with this, because it's all crypto and stablecoins, like we just talked about USDT, which funny enough, you can put USDT into your wallet. You can send that money to your friends in just seconds. And if they have Coinbase, they can withdraw it. They will get that money relatively quick, or at least much faster than they would with iMessage. In any case, this is a post from Ownership Coin, and it kind of just talks about a lot of people getting access to this. So Telegram has the most potent mobile wallet in the world. It's live on 1 billion phones. So this is worldwide. And right now the wallet is only available in the US. So this is something for people to look at in the future. And it's already moving $3 million a day. No bank account required. So that's a lot of money. And I'm telling you is because stablecoins is where it's at. So again, I've been in this space for a few years now. And one thing I've noticed is that it's becoming increasingly easier to use crypto because of the user experience, the user interface that we're seeing across several apps, like now with Telegram. So this is a thread that talks about how to use it and how this app is potentially going to change the world from payments and messaging perspective. You can read it on your own. If you also want to look at the Open Network or Tron, you can just follow them at ton.org. We'll leave the link in the description below as well. And if you have any questions or any comments, just leave them down below as well. So now that we've kind of done talking about the Telegram wallet, let's talk next about the regulation. So in this case with the SEC and Project Crypto, a couple points that I want to talk about are the SEC chair, or at least the current one, his name is Paul Atkins. He introduced Project Crypto, where he's effectively marking a shift from people enforcing rulemaking and with more clear guidelines for token classification and custody. It's kind of interesting seeing how much the space is shifting. I think it was Harvard in 2018. They said that it is more likely for Bitcoin at the time, that was 2018, to reach $100 than to reach $1 million. And now in just 2025, a few days ago, they bought like a Bitcoin spot ETF from BlackRock. So if you can't beat them, you can join them. And this is what we're seeing with the SEC. The last administration, we saw that Gary Gensler was making the SEC to enforce crypto regulation as this predator almost, where if you were in the space, if you were creating a meaningful product on crypto, you're not doing meme coins, you're not doing rug pulls, you're not doing none of that shit. You're actually creating a service that can help people like Telegram with the crypto wallets. the SEC is going to pursue you, and they're going to effectively take hundreds of millions, if not billions, on a lawsuit. And all for it to just be delayed, waste people's time, and have no meaningful outcomes. Coinbase, being one of the leaders in the US for crypto, they've approached the SEC numerous times, according to Brian Armstrong, in several tweets a while ago. They pursued the SEC, they couldn't give them any updates, and also Coinbase's chief legal officer was also expressing how difficult it was to work with the SEC previously. But now we're seeing, the SEC effectively doing Project Crypto, where it includes innovation exemptions for startups, and it aims to enable integrated super apps, platforms where users can trade, lend, and stake all in one place. That's kind of what we're seeing with the base app. It's trying to become a super app, almost like WeChat, where not only does it have social capabilities, money sending capabilities, and also just entertainment. In my opinion, that's what a super app is. I know that's something that I wanted to do with Websy, my previous business, but it's definitely something more than one person can do. So of course it was not going to work with me, but I digress. So with Paul Atkins, in this post, he talks about, we will make sure the next chapter of financial innovation is written right here in America. So he releases a YouTube video, which I'll play here in a minute for you. And he kind of just talks about everything more in detail. So this is the SEC's Chair Paul Atkins talking about Project Crypto, where he kind of just lays it all out for everyone.
Today, I should like to discuss what Commissioner Peirce, Hester Peirce, and I are calling Project Crypto, which will be the SEC's North Star in aiding President Trump in his historic efforts to make America the crypto capital of the world. The SEC will not stand idly by and watch innovations develop overseas while our capital markets remain stagnant. We're at the threshold of a new era in the history of our markets. As I mentioned earlier, today I'm announcing the launch of Project Crypto, a commission-wide initiative to modernize the securities rules and regulations to enable America's financial markets to move on-chain. The President's Working Group on Digital Asset Markets released the PWG report with clear recommendations for the SEC and other federal agencies to build a framework to maintain U.S. dominance in crypto asset markets. This report is the blueprint to make America first in blockchain and crypto technology. We will not watch from the sidelines. We will lead, we will build.
All right, you get the gist. I think it's amazing. I've already kind of covered everything here with the SEC Project Crypto. I'm pretty excited, not only as someone who is not only investing in crypto, but also building a company in the crypto space. I think this is amazing. I'm excited. So we'll keep you guys updated here for more updates on the SEC. On to our next story. We're going to talk about American Bitcoin. And this is an article from Benzinga Crypto. I swear to God, who even comes up with these names? Like that Benzinga, that's such a mouthful. Now, I'm ESL, or English Second Language, so I'm also kind of just going to butcher a lot of things here. So American Bitcoin. This is an American-based Bitcoin mining company, and it's largely funded by Eric Trump and the Trump media company. I think that's generally the basis of it. So when Leon and I went to Consensus 2025 in Canada, they were talking about how they wanted to make America the capital of the world. Eric Trump thought about American Bitcoin, or ABTC, sounding really nice. So especially for NASDAQ, which is what we're going to cover here in a moment. Quick segment though, I thought it was really interesting being in Canada. As you may have already known, there's been this massive narrative push that Canada is going to become the 51st state. So you can imagine the kind of crowd that was there in Consensus 2025. It was a bit of a mixed crowd. You had, Canadians, and then you had Americans. So the crowd was kind of polarizing, which I'm not trying to make this political, but that's kind of the current state of affairs with American Bitcoin. Is kind of controversial because the name being tied with Trump. But also, I mean, if you ask any people who is in crypto here in America, they're going to think that, Trump is doing amazing things for crypto, which I agree. So people who are not crypto experts, they're probably not going to be in favor of American Bitcoin or anything that Trump is doing with Bitcoin. That's as far as I'll get political. So this article is from Benzinga, which is kind of a mouthful. In any case, Eric Trump last week actually came out with a post saying American Bitcoin ABTC, next stop NASDAQ. And you can find this article in the description as well. So there's this story, there's this image that I saw last week that said that to mine one entire Bitcoin in America costed about $109,000. Now, this new bill that Trump passed like last month, I think it was called the Big Beautiful Bill, there was going to be a increase on light or electricity use in the States. So that's certainly not going to help for mining Bitcoin. But that's mostly for residential buildings, I think, because in commercial buildings, electricity rate is less because there's going to be more required. Anyways, in this case, Eric Trump is talking about ABTC being in the NASDAQ. So American Bitcoin has already acquired $23 million in Bitcoin to build its reserve. So not only are they building a infrastructure-based company, but also a treasury in of itself. So the Winklevoss twins, the people who founded the Gemini American Exchange, have said before that they've invested in the IPO using Bitcoin, not cash. So American Bitcoin is largely holding a lot of Bitcoin, which is amazing. I think this is going to be the first company that we're seeing rely heavily on Bitcoin. We've seen MicroStrategy, or Strategy now by Michael Saylor, talk about using Bitcoin as a way to increase the value for a company, which is really interesting. We're now at the point where companies like GameStop, who can barely function as a business, just by buying Bitcoin, their company value increases significantly. So it's kind of a cheat code if you think about it, but it's also kind of interesting seeing how it affects all these companies. So we'll see what happens. I think ABTC being the first company that is going to be in the NASDAQ that is purely only Bitcoin is going to be interesting. Well, obviously we have Coinbase and then we have Circle. So there's actually all these multitude of crypto-based companies coming out. For Strategy, they're just doing a variety of things, but they are incorporating Bitcoin a lot for their strategy reserve. So all this to say that we're starting to see a big influence here with crypto coming up, and it's really exciting. Now, this is from Yahoo Finance. Finally, a name that I can pronounce. It says, American Bitcoin and Griffin announced a commencement of Griffin stockholder voting on Go Public transaction. So what this means is there's going to be some actual significant movement to ABTC going live or going public. So this meeting is going to be held on August 27th, 2025. Yahoo Finance says that American Bitcoin Corp, ABTC, a Bitcoin accumulation platform focused on building America's Bitcoin infrastructure's backbone, and Griffin Digital Mining Incorporated, or GRYP, Griffin, an innovative venture in the Bitcoin mining space, today announced that Griffin stockholder voting has commenced in connection with the previously announced stock-for-stock merger transaction between American Bitcoin and Griffin. Upon closing the transaction, the combined company will operate under the American Bitcoin brand, led by the management and board of directors of American Bitcoin. The combined company is expected to trade on NASDAQ under the ticker symbol ABTC, with the transaction currently targeted to close in early September 2025. Subject to Griffin stockholders voting to approve the proposed transaction and the satisfaction of other customary closing conditions. So again, yeah, it means ABTC is going to go public if all goes well. It's going to be interesting. One thing we've seen with crypto-based companies going live is their price just goes parabolic. Well, there was Figma, but Figma is not crypto-based. That one's just more like hype. It's a great product. Circle went parabolic. Circle is the issuer of USDC, which is largely owned by Coinbase. Coinbase stock did go up a lot initially. It was the first crypto-based company to go live as a result. And now we're going to have ABTC. So I'm really interested to see this. This will be the third only crypto company that will be going live, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. So yeah, we'll see what happens. This meeting is supposed to happen on August 27th. I can expect Bitcoin price to go up, if I'm being honest, if this goes through, just because of the hype and because more people are going to be using Bitcoin. So that's going to be amazing. So now that we've been talking a little bit about Trump, let's talk about the big daddy himself, Donald Trump. Just last week, actually, he signed an executive order saying that, hey, people cannot put Bitcoin and crypto on their 401k retirement plans. As you can see on this headline, this is from CoinDesk. So a couple of thoughts that I have about that is, yes, that's amazing. It's been shown that with the current price of Bitcoin and the patterns that we've seen it go, it's outperformed the S&P 500 more than any other asset. And traditionally, the S&P 500 is supposed to be the safest form of investment. So I'm not a financial advisor, but if you go on YouTube, you go anywhere, financial advisors are always going to push for the S&P 500. I think it's smart. I think personally, I do have some Bitcoin. I have more Bitcoin than I do with the S&P 500. So in my portfolio. So for those reasons, I'm excited. And we've already seen Bitcoin and crypto have an influence on people's 401k because, again, people are not only putting the money in the S&P 500, which the S&P 500 is a coalition almost of the biggest 500 companies in that index. And among them recently was Coinbase. Coinbase was added around May, and you're effectively almost in a way putting Bitcoin on your 401k. But now it will officially be Bitcoin itself that will be in your 401k. I think that's amazing. In this article, one thing to know here, it says, what to know: Donald Trump signed an executive order Thursday to open a 401k retirement plans to a broader swath of investments, including cryptocurrencies. So yeah, broader swath of investments. I think it also includes private equity. And private companies can actually get into people's 401k. So that's going to be interesting. We've already kind of seen that. My 401k is managed by a private firm. That happens with anyone else in certain companies. I know if you work in some tech jobs, some tech corporations like Google, Meta, sometimes they let people have a financial advisor or a financial company manage their portfolio. So that's not uncommon, but this could probably expand further than that. I mean, there's one way to find out in the future. Also, the order directs the Department of Labor and Securities Exchange Commission to go through rulemaking processes to revise guidance for retirement accounts. Trump also signed an order directing bank regulators to prevent debanking. Now, I think debanking is amazing. I think this is influenced heavily on one of the experiences that the Donald Trump children had. In consensus, Eric Trump talked about how he was debanked. His family was debanked at one point. I think it was after the January 6th insurrection, which, I mean, I'm not gonna talk about that. It's not really related, except that because of all that commotion, for lack of a better word, the Trump name was kind of ruined. So because of that, people or banks were debanking the Trump brothers. So I guess that's why they also opted into Bitcoin, if you think about it, or crypto, because crypto is bankless. I know Donald Trump Jr. also talked about it in Bitcoin 2025. That's kind of where they're coming from. They do have firsthand experience with this. So now I'm seeing Donald Trump, the father, create some sort of regulation that says, hey, you cannot debank people. We'll see what happens with that. So this is from the Wall Street Journal opinion. And this is just an opinion from them. It says, Trump plans to give your 401k a boost. His order on alternative investments will make it possible to realize much stronger returns. So yeah, it's kind of like I said. I mean, Bitcoin has outperformed the S&P 500 before. The same people who said, hey, your money's going to go to zero if you put your money in Bitcoin, they're now saying, hey, it's actually going to boost your 401k. So just follow the money, guys. That's all you got to do. Don't even listen to me. Just follow the fucking money, So anyways, the article says that President Trump issued an executive order. This 401k inclusion includes a private equity, real estate, and digital assets such as Bitcoin. This would allow them to achieve better returns on their savings. It's kind of interesting that we're adding private equity and real estate, aside from Bitcoin, into the 401k investments. I mean, I guess if you think about it, real estate, some assets do appreciate better than the S&P 500. But as far as stocks and all that, it's the king of it's supposed to be the S&P 500, I believe. Real estate is interesting. I wonder how that would look like. Maybe that's where private equity could come in handy, but who knows? So, I mean, I have more questions than I have answers, so I probably shouldn't give you more than that. I think that would be irresponsible. What I'm going to say for now is expect more Bitcoin to be part of your life and your financial life. In this case, with your retirement. People could already put Bitcoin spots on their Roth IRA. So I'm only seeing news on 401k, not for the Roth IRA, which is a big difference. But I digress. I'm just here to give you the news. That's kind of what's happened in the last 2 weeks, which was kind of a lot. I tried my best here to put it together in simple terms for you all. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any thoughts. So if you have any videos you'd like for us to look at or to talk about, please let us know. I know we're expanding the Boost network more, so keep an eye out on our other videos. We're going to be expanding a little bit, so that's, that could open the door for us to release more type of content. I know this is the financial/crypto side of the Boost network, so happy to cover any thoughts, happy to cover any videos you guys want us to cover. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Let us know what you think. And yeah, this has been the Social Ledger Report signing out.